Hello and welcome to another Key Smash Studios video. Today we are going to be looking at an introduction to mystical agriculture. As always, if you find these videos to be helpful, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, all that jazz. It really does help us out, and we'll hop right into this. The first thing that you need to know about mystical agriculture is that there are two different ores that have been added to the game. Now, these ores are relatively common, the first being Inferium Ore. This ore is pretty common. It's found pretty much all over. It's from the base world, the beneath, the nether, you name it, almost anywhere. This ore exists, and you should collect it almost every time. This stuff is incredibly valuable to mystical agriculture. Every time you see it, collect it, bring it back. It's totally worth it. When you mine it, you get something called Inferium Essence. And this is what Inferium Essence looks like right here. It is just sort of like a little green flame. The second is Prosperity Ore. Now, Prosperity Ore gives you Prosperity Shards, just like Inferium Ore gives you Inferium Essence. Now, Prosperity Ore is a little bit less valuable than Inferium Essence, but it is still very much worth getting, at least in the early game, so you have enough to get started. Now, Prosperity Ore is found pretty much anywhere that Inferium Ore is found. That includes the overworld, the beneath, and name the world, it's probably found there. It's pretty common. You just chop it up, you get these little shards, and you're good to go. Those two ores allow you to use the essence and crafting seed system to craft seeds to create any material which you would like. Now, there are 7 tiers of crafting seeds, starting with tier 0, the first tier, all the way up to tier 6, which is the 7th tier. There are 6 tiers of essences, starting with Inferium Essence, and it goes all the way up to Insanium Essence, which is the 6th and final tier. Now, each of the essences is created by combining previous essences. So this is the first tier, Infernium Essence, and that with a thing in the middle allows you to get to the 2nd tier, so on and so forth. I'll go through that in a little bit more detail in a second. Each of the seeds combines the essences, barring the first one. Each of the seeds combines the corresponding tier of essence to go up to the next tier of seeds. And then that process continues, so on and so forth. So if I were to look at this little chart over here, I would see that this first tier of seeds combines with this first tier of essence to make this 2nd tier of seeds. The 2nd tier of seeds with the 2nd tier of essence to create the 3rd tier of seeds, so on and so forth till you get to the highest levels. Now, in mystical agriculture, all of the different seeds that you can make are based on these tiers of seeds. The rarer the item that you would like to make, let's say that you would like to make a platinum tier seed, which is a very valuable resource in mystical agriculture. Well, you need a tier 5 crafting seed. That means you have to go almost all the way to the top to get to that crafting seed. So the rarer the resource, the higher the tier of the seed that it will need, which means you will need a higher tier of essence to craft that seed. Once you have the seed, though, you can create more of the seeds from that one seed. So you only really need to craft the seed once, and we'll go into the seed crafting now. Now, when you first start mystical agriculture, the first thing you should do is craft Infernium seeds. Now, Infernium seeds are a little bit different than all other seeds. This is what is going to allow you to create the Infernium essence without having to mine it. In order to create it, you just simply create Infernium essence all the way around a seed, and that creates a tier 1 Infernium seed. Infernium seeds are really easy to plant. All you do is you put them down on a piece of tilled ground, and then you're going to use a watering can. Any watering can will work. If you come here and search watering can, there are tons of watering can, including some that are in mystical agriculture as a whole. Some of them will have ranges, some of them will have infinite water supplies. It's really a personal choice. Once you have your watering can, you just sort of click nearby. This one does a 9x9 square, so it's going to water everything in a 9x9 square of the one that I am directly clicking. As you can see in the top left corner, with a little bit of water, an Infernium seed is growing. The higher the tier of Infernium seed, the faster it will grow. You can do this either manually with a water bucket, or you can do something like a sprinkler from AgriCraft. Any way that it gets seeds Once it's finished, then it creates Infernium essence. You can harvest it and begin the process all over again. I've put this recipe here. This is the basic recipe to get you a tier 1 Infernium seed. Anytime you're doing an Infernium seed, the next tier up is just surrounding the previous tier, just like all other things. So your tier 1 Infernium seed uses the tier 2 essence to go up to a tier 2, all the way up to a tier 6, which uses the rarest essence around a tier 5 Infernium seed. Now this seed will grow much faster than the tier 1 one, so that is the point of getting that up to tier 6. As far as the rest of the seeds in the game, they are crafted within a crafting box. You create the first tier seed. So this is prosperity ore around a regular seed, and this creates crafting tier 1 seed. What this looks like is this one right here. It is the base crafting seed. You cannot actually make anything from this except for higher tier seeds. If I were to go back to the main section of Mystical Agriculture and we look through all these seeds that are down here, there aren't any that are actually tier 0s. There's several that are tier 1, but if we look at it, they all use a tier 1 crafting seed. So what you do is you combine this tier 1 crafting seed with this tier 1 essence, that's the Infernium essence, and that creates the tier 2 crafting seed, and that is done with this recipe here. For Infernium essence, one tier 0 crafting seed gets you the tier 1 crafting seed. Now the tier 1 crafting seed can be combined with several things. For example, in Mystical Agriculture you can create a nature cluster, which is just a few items that you can find in the overworld, but that will allow you to get nature seeds, or if you would like, you can get wood seeds. 4 pieces of wood around a tier 1 crafting seed gets you this wood seed. In order to upgrade our essences, the process is similar to the seeds, but a little bit different. We have to come here and look for an infusion crystal. In an infusion crystal, there are 2 types. There is a master infusion crystal and a regular one. You can use the regular one to start. When you can, go ahead and make the master one. But the regular infusion crystal is not too expensive. It's just a diamond surrounded by 4 Infernium and 4 prosperity shards, and it gives you 1,000 uses. Now those uses are going to be placed in between essence to create the next tier of essence. So if I come here to this crafting table, I put my infusion crystal here, and I put some essence around it. So let's say we take our first tier of essence, the Infernium essence. You can see that I can create multiples of the second tier of essence here. Now if I return all of these and use this second tier of essence, I can follow the same pattern and create the third tier. As you go through the essences, the pattern remains the same. You use the infusion crystal in between the previous tier's essences to create the next tier. So if you would like to make the 4th tier of essence, you take 4 of the 3rd tier of essence plus the infusion crystal to create 1 of the 4th tier of essence. This means that you need a large amount of Infernium, which is why it is one of the first seeds that you should craft, and you should be good to go. Now once you would like to make a seed of any type, all you do is you come here. Let's say that you have a tier 2 seed, right? You have a tier 2 seed, you're not sure what you want to make. You can just come here, you type in @Mystical Agriculture or just @Mystical. It'll show you everything in the Mystical Agriculture mod. Any of these seeds that are labeled as tier 2, you can create with a tier 2 crafting seed. So for example, if I would like to make this coal seed, which is incredibly useful for powering my plant, all I need to do is use some coal, the second tier of essence, and the tier 2 crafting seed. I can hit move items and craft that coal seed. Now once I have that coal seed, I can go ahead and take it over to a plot, and it is worth noting that on any seed other than the Infernium seed is a little bit special and a little bit different. Any seed other than the Infernium seed, I can go ahead and plant that inside crop sticks from AgriCraft. And the reason that's so important is because when I grow this seed, I use my watering can to speed up its growth. When I grow this seed, it grows full. But if I continue to water nearby, it starts spreading to other places. That's why you really only need 1 seed of each type. It can then grow into the other ones. You knock out the crop sticks, you get that seed, and you have multiples of the same seed. Now once you have multiples of a seed, all you do is you right click, it creates the essence. You take that essence back to your crafting bin. Now inside your crafting table, this process is not particularly hard. Each essence grouping is a little bit different. For coal, it is 8 around. And you can just create as many coal as you'd like, dump them back into your station, and you're turning your plant seeds into coal, and the plants are still growing. You can completely automate this system. If you would like a video about it, we actually have a video here on how to automate that system. It doesn't require too much power, and if you would like to look at it later, I'll leave a link in the description. This is the basic premise of mystical agriculture. You just keep going to higher and higher and higher tier seeds to get more and more valuable resources. As you can see, some of the tier 4 and 5 resources are really valuable things. Things like cobalt, or platinum is a tier 5, I believe. Mana steel. These are things that are really useful in your playthrough of whatever mod pack you're doing. If it's MC Eternal, great. If it's not MC Eternal, whatever mod pack that has this seed, it is incredibly useful for you to be able to get to higher tiers and use that tier of seed. Because once you have 4 of one item, you can create that item for the rest of the game and automate it and dump it into a database, and you don't really have to go out and mine anymore. I do want to talk about one last thing when it comes to mystical agriculture, and this has a little bit to do with agricraft as well. So agricraft and mystical agriculture combine together to make a pretty complete mod set, but more often than not, they're found together. And if they are found together, you can see based on this coal seed that I just found that it is unidentified. So if you get something called a seed analyzer, and if you come here, you can search, as with all of these recipes. Seed analyzer is not that expensive, but you can find its recipe here. But what you do is you take that coal seed, you click it into the seed analyzer, it's going to go ahead and identify it. And once it identifies, it's going to identify as a 1-1-1. 1 growth, 1 gain, 1 strength. Now these seeds can get stronger over time. This is why it's so important for you to learn how to crossbreed seeds. So this is the 1-1-1 seed here. If I were to plant this here and this one here, they could both grow into full plants on their own. And if I had crop sticks by, they would spread to other crop sticks, and it would also be a 1-1-1 seed. Now, one of the best ways to handle this and to crossbreed is to go ahead and put a second crop stick on top of the other one. This means it will not go to this area where there's 2 sticks together unless it has cross-pollinized with another seed, creating a higher tier seed. So I can sit here and water, and if I would place just 2 things nearby with just one, you'll see that those actually fill up quite quickly compared to the center one. See, those are already starting to grow. They're already starting to grow. But once that top pops off the center one, this one is a higher tier seed. If I was in standard mode, I could pop off these crop sticks and we would pick up the seed and analyze it, and it would be a 1-2-1 or a 1-1-2, some type of seed that is a little bit higher than the 1-1-1 seed at which we were looking earlier. It would gain some amount of gain, growth, or strength. Now what you want to do is just kind of repeat this process over and over until you get 10-10-10 seeds. There's tons of ways to do this. Sometimes people will say things like, start here and then set up a line like this and then water, and it will only continue down the line once it grows. I find it fastest to do it with 3 in a row, but some people swear by this method. I don't really think it works all that well, but there are tons of ways to do it. This is just my particular favorite with this method in between 2. You're more likely to get it to grow into a new seed if it's in between 2 different brands. Eventually, the end goal of this is to get seeds that are 10 growth, 10 gain, 10 strength. Those seeds will produce flowers much faster. They will produce more of them, and they will spread faster. So when you automate this whole process and make it part of your base, you'll gain items more quickly, and that, after all, is the entire point of this. If you have any questions about how any of this works, anything like that, please let me know down in the comments below. You can find a link in our description for our Discord. Hop in that, come hang out. We'd love to hear from you. Mystical Agriculture is an amazingly powerful mod. I highly recommend you take it through on your next playthrough, whether it is MC Eternal or any other of the mod packs that contain it. Again, if you'd like to watch the video on optimization and automation of this particular mod pack, AgriCraft and Mystical Agriculture combined, we have a link in our description. If you found this video to be super helpful, you can find links to our Patreon and our Twitch. Give those a follow, give those a click. Anything like that would be amazingly helpful. As always, I hope this has been helpful. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. It really does help us out, and hopefully we'll see you next week.